If you don't open your mouth and say what you want, you ain't gonna get it. And so what I'm doing is opening my mouth, telling people what I want in the industry and out the whole world. I'm like straight out thugging.
Right.
Ghetto queen with mine.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Coming from the hood with it. And so
The Memphis rap group 3-6 Mafia has been found dead. She was found dead yesterday on the porch of a home in the Whitehaven neighborhood of Memphis.
Boo brother, and like I said to him, you was wrong. You should feel bad about yourself because you did wrong. You killed your sister, and I'm gonna say it.
You can't talk about the legends of female rap without bringing up Lola Mitchell, the powerhouse, better known as Gangsta Boo. She ruled Memphis with pure confidence. Fans crowned her the queen of Memphis. Some even called her the devil's daughter, not out of hate, but because her energy was fierce and untouchable. She wasn't just part of 3-6 Mafia, she was one of its strongest pillars.
How does it feel to be the only girl in a all-male group?
it's cool because I learned a lot of things about you men. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot of things.
But behind all that fame and success, there was a storm quietly chasing her. Few people realize how much pain and loss followed her through life. Gangsta Boo saw her closest people fade away one after another, losing nearly 20 friends and loved ones over the years. And heartbreakingly, that same darkness would one day come for her too. Let's rewind. Lola Mitchell was born on August 7th, 1979 in Memphis, Tennessee. Her story didn't start in chaos or struggle. It started in peace. She grew up in a steady middle-class home. Her father, Cedric, worked a stable postal job, while her mom, Veronica, kept the household running strong. It wasn't flashy, but it was real. Still, Memphis has a way of showing how fast things can change, how thin the line between comfort and hardship can really be.
I grew up I had a decent life. I'm not a project baby. Right. My parents was together, married up until I was like 13, 14, something like that. So I grew up pretty decent, like in a good household.
That shift hit hard when her parents divorced. After the split, Lola and her family moved to Whitehaven, a neighborhood once known for Elvis Presley's Graceland. It had been a wealthy white suburb, but by the time Lola arrived, things had changed. The area had become mostly black, filled with new energy, new challenges, and a whole new kind of Memphis spirit. The area soon earned the nickname Black Haven, a place full of contradictions and real-life lessons. You'd see successful black professionals and stable families living right next to neighborhoods touched by poverty, street politics, and the hustle of everyday survival. Lola once said it was like having the best of both worlds. She could blend into any crowd, confident in middle-class spaces, but sharp and street-smart enough to move safely through tougher blocks. What many people overlook is that Lola wasn't just bold, she was brilliantly creative. Before rap, she was a writer through and through. Her father saw that spark early on. Instead of getting her dolls or games, he bought her a keyboard, a karaoke machine, and other tools to create. She started out writing poetry, then heartfelt letters to her dad. Those letters slowly started turning into rhymes. She was paying attention to everything happening around her, soaking up the rhythm and reality of Memphis life. By the early 90s, the Memphis rap scene was starting to bubble underground, raw, gritty, and unapologetic. This wasn't the polished shine of Bad Boy Records or the smooth West Coast vibe from Death Row. Memphis had its own flavor, rough, lo-fi beats, and a dark, haunting tone that gave it its signature sound. At the heart of that movement were two masterminds, DJ Paul and Juicy J, names that would soon change hip-hop. Around this time, Lola was attending Hillcrest High School, the same school as Paul Beauregard, better known on the streets as DJ Paul. But Lola wasn't waiting around for luck. At just 14 years old, she hit the stage at a school talent show and blew everyone away. She crushed the competition, but even then, she knew talent shows alone wouldn't get her a real shot in the game. If she wanted to rise, she had to connect with the source, the real hit makers. That's when she set her eyes on Lord Infamous, DJ Paul's brother and one of the main architects behind the group's eerie lyrical sound. She tracked down his number and started calling his house non-stop, leaving rap verses on the answering machine, hanging up, then calling again another day. Talk about determination. Her persistence finally paid off. One day, the call came back. They invited her to the studio, but this wasn't some fancy polished setup. It was raw, underground, and gritty. Lola recorded her very first verses in a closet, proving she didn't need luxury to make magic. That moment became her debut. Her first official appearance dropped on DJ Paul's Volume 16 for the summer of '94.
I was the girl that used to call people phones and rap on their answering machines. So Lord Infamous, rest in peace to him. So I ended up finding his number, was rapping on his answer machine all the time, and he told Paul that I can rap. One female never showed up to the studio. Then they called me, and then I showed up to the studio, and I never left the studio with them.
When Lola finally stepped up to the mic, she didn't sound like a kid at all. She sounded ready. There was no nervousness, no hesitation. Her delivery was fierce, confident, and straight up commanding. By 1995, the loose collective she joined had officially evolved into 3-6 Mafia, a name that grabbed attention instantly. It carried a dark, rebellious edge that perfectly matched their raw, haunting sound and fearless image. Their music tapped into the mysterious side of street life, filled with eerie beats, intense emotion, and the kind of darkness that most artists were scared to even touch. And there was Lola, only 14 years old, stepping into a crew of loud, unpredictable men like DJ Paul, Juicy J, Lord Infamous, Coops the Nicka, and Crunchy Black. To survive and thrive in that world, she knew being just Lola wasn't enough. Softness had no place there, so she built a new version of herself, tougher, bolder, untouchable. That's how her alter ego, the legendary Devil's Daughter, was born.
I was like young. I'm young now, but I was like 14. Right. I joined the group when I was 14.
Wow. It wasn't about evil. It was about power, control, and showing she could hold her own against anyone. Her debut on 3-6 Mafia's first album, Mystic Styles, was unforgettable. The album, made with only about $4,500 in a small spot called the Production Room, changed everything. The sound was grimy but revolutionary, and on tracks like Dust Summer, Lola didn't play the background. She was front and center, coming across as bold and unstoppable. She wasn't just fitting in, she was leading the charge.
How does it feel to be the only girl in a all-male group?
It's cool because I learned a lot of things about you men. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot of things.
But while her music career was rising fast, her real life was still split in two. By day, she was a regular high school student, attending class, walking hallways, just another teen. By night, she was traveling across the South, living a life that few her age could even imagine. The environment around the crew could get unstable and unpredictable, and Lola had to learn fast how to protect herself and stay alert. Years later, she shared a moment that said it all. When she was just 16, fellow group member Crunchy Black handed her something for protection. Lola admitted she was scared and didn't want it, but she understood exactly what it meant. In that world, safety wasn't guaranteed, and you had to look out for yourself no matter what. By 1998, 3-6 Mafia had exploded far beyond Memphis. They weren't just local legends anymore. They were national names with a sound that reshaped the entire southern rap scene. 3-6 Mafia was finally breaking out for real. No more underground secrets. They were everywhere. The group started landing major distribution deals, pushing records beyond the South and catching serious industry attention. But even as their fame grew, one thing stood out clear as day. Gangsta Boo wasn't just part of the crew, she was a star. Her energy, her voice, her whole presence, she had main character written all over her. At just 18 years old, she proved it by dropping her solo debut album, Inquiring Minds. That record hit hard. But one track in particular blew up beyond anything the crew expected, Where Them Dollars At. That song was everywhere. It took over strip clubs in Atlanta, cars blasting through Houston, and block parties all across the South. You couldn't escape it, and nobody wanted to. The song worked because it was bold and real. Gangsta Boo wasn't sugarcoating anything. She was talking about getting money and knowing her worth, plain and simple. Long before people gave it a label online, she was already spitting the kind of confident, fearless empowerment that fans, especially women, connected with instantly. That single climbed all the way to number 15 on the Billboard R&B charts, proving that Gangsta Boo wasn't just successful, she was historic. But as her fame skyrocketed, the pressure behind the scenes started to build. The darker side of the 3-6 Mafia world, the chaos, the extreme energy, the edgy imagery, began to weigh on her spirit. For someone raised with strong roots and values, those contradictions were becoming harder to ignore.
What really happened? Like, what caused you to kind of step away from them?
You know, you can't mix business with pleasure. And I'll say that, to say the least. And It was a good experience, but it was a bad experience. It was a spiritual experience. It was a religious experience. It was just crazy.
It wasn't just a stage act anymore. It was starting to feel heavy and real. By 2000, 3-6 Mafia dropped their album When the Smoke Clears, 66, 61, and it went platinum, locking their place in hip-hop history. Gangsta Boo was everywhere. Magazine covers, features, and music videos. She was crowned the First Lady of Crunk, a title that fit her perfectly. She appeared on Outkast's Stankonia, one of the most iconic albums ever, and even collaborated with Foxy Brown. From the outside, it looked like she was on top of the world, but behind that success, things inside Hypnotized Camp Posse weren't as perfect as they seemed. Money was coming in fast, but tension started bubbling about who was really getting what.
From what I understand though, gang, I mean the Mafia 6, the reuniting, man. Tell me about it. What's happening with it?
Trust began to fade, and friendships started cracking under the weight of fame. For Lola Mitchell, the devil's daughter identity she'd created as armor in her teenage years was starting to feel less like power and more like a cage. By 2001, Lola was only 21 years old, but she had already done what most artists dream of: platinum records, massive respect, and her name etched into hip-hop history. Yet behind that success, she was exhausted. The endless tours, the heavy lifestyle, and the intense crunk scene had drained her mentally and emotionally. That same year, she released her second solo project, Both Worlds 69, and it went even bigger than her debut, peaking at number 8 on the Billboard R&B charts. Then out of nowhere, she did something no one expected. She walked away from 3-6 Mafia. Just like that, one of the most iconic members was gone. The public reason? Creative differences. But insiders knew there was a lot more going on behind the scenes. In truth, there were 3 major issues, and together they pushed her to the breaking point.
A group that Paul put together, DJ Paul, he's the founder and the brains behind the whole 666 Mafia sound. Just wanted to say that. And he just hit us up and was like, yo, what up? Y'all ready to do another album or what? Pretty much.
First, there was the money, and Boo wasn't alone in feeling that something wasn't right. Other artists in the Hypnotized Mind circle later echoed the same frustrations. Boo believed the financial setup was unfair. With DJ Paul and Juicy J holding the power over the label, she felt her solo career wasn't being supported like it deserved. She reportedly believed that the numbers weren't adding up and that she wasn't seeing the return she had earned through her hard work. Second, the exhaustion ran deep. Being the only woman in a crew of unpredictable men was draining. In later interviews, she even said straight up, "I don't want to bust with a bunch of boys no more." She was tired of being surrounded by ego clashes, reckless behavior, and chaos that never seemed to stop. It wasn't about weakness, it was about knowing her worth and wanting peace. And then came the third and most surprising reason, a spiritual awakening. Just a few months after leaving the group, in September 2001, Lola made a huge announcement. She had found faith. She stepped away from the Gangsta Boo persona completely and began calling herself Lady Boo. In interviews, including one with Gospel Flavor magazine, she opened up with honesty, saying she had felt lost during her time in the group. She explained that she had been running from her faith, trying to numb her pain through destructive habits, and that the devil's daughter image she once embraced now felt like it was pulling unwanted energy into her life. That was a bold and vulnerable move, and the industry didn't quite know how to handle it. One moment, she was known for some of the most aggressive, confident verses in Southern rap, and the next, she was choosing peace, reflection, and a new path that shocked everyone who thought they had her figured out. After her spiritual shift, Lola started releasing music with a cleaner, uplifting message focused on faith and growth, but not everyone took it seriously.
Gonna die. Your brother's gonna die, your grandmama gonna die, your grandfather gonna die.
Why are you going so fast?
Because I lost like 20 people in 7 years.
DJ Paul and Juicy J publicly brushed it off, calling it just a phase and saying she'd be back soon. They weren't completely wrong, but what came next wasn't the return anyone expected.
The Lady Boo era didn't quite land the way she hoped. Fans were confused, record labels were unsure, and the sudden change felt too fast for people who only knew her as Gangsta Boo.
And the best help is not self-medicating, you know what I mean? it is really actually going deep and speaking to someone.
After some time, Lola realized something powerful. She didn't have to erase her past to move forward. She could still honor her roots and grow spiritually. So she took back the Gangsta Boo name, this time on her own terms. Without the hypnotized mind's machine behind her though, the mainstream spotlight dimmed a bit. But Lola didn't quit, not even close. She went right back to the grind, pushing through the underground scene, dropping mixtapes like The Rumors and Miss.com, keeping her name buzzing and her sound sharp. Even if she wasn't topping the charts like before, her loyal fan base never left her side. Then came 2009, a year that would turn into one of the strangest, most talked about chapters of her life. On December 8th, 2009, Gangsta Boo shocked fans when she turned herself in to authorities in Olive Branch, Mississippi. The charge? Conspiracy to commit armed robbery. According to police, earlier that year, a 28-year-old man named Marcus Curtis had robbed a Dollar General store and forced employees to hand over cash. Investigators claim Lola had helped plan the whole thing. The story instantly blew up, and nobody could believe it. Why would a platinum-selling rap icon, a woman with money, fame, and history, ever risk everything over something that made no sense? Fans were stunned, and so was Lola. She took to Twitter, furious, typing in all caps to clear her name. "I am innocent. I am with the hottest producer in the game. What do I look like robbing a store?" She fought back hard, using her music as her weapon. Soon after, she dropped a bold project titled The Rumors 2, The State vs. Lola Mitchell, directly addressing the situation and refusing to let anyone twist her story. In the end, the charges didn't stick, and it became clear that Lola had likely just been caught in the wrong situation around the wrong people. Still, the damage was done. Even though her name was cleared, the headlines had already taken their toll, and her career had to fight its way back from the shadow of that wild moment. Just when people started whispering that Gangsta Boo was a legend from a gone era, the game took a surprising turn. The culture came right back to her. A brand new generation of rappers started digging through old school Memphis sounds, searching for that dark, gritty magic from the 90s that Boo helped create. Artists like Space Ghost Perp, A$AP Rocky, and the Raider Clan weren't just influenced by that era, they worshipped it. For them, Mystic Styles wasn't just an album, it was scripture. That wave of nostalgia and respect pulled Boo back into the spotlight in a big way. Then, in 2011, she shocked everyone by popping up on a track with Eminem and Yellow Wolf called Throw It Up. Hearing Gangsta Boo trade bars with Eminem, that was huge. It wasn't just a comeback, it was validation. That feature reintroduced her to the mainstream, reminding everyone why she was a pioneer in the first place. And the momentum didn't stop there. In 2013, DJ Paul reunited most of the original crew under a new name, the Mafia 6, a reformation of 3-6 Mafia's core lineup, minus Juicy J, who was already flying high as a solo star with bands that make her dance. Seeing Boo back on stage with Lord Infamous, Crunchy Black, and Coops the Nicka felt like a victory lap for Memphis rap, a celebration of the roots that started it all.
But that joy didn't last long. In December 2013, tragedy struck when Lord Infamous passed away suddenly from heart complications. The loss hit Boo hard. Another friend, another piece of her past gone too soon. Still, she kept pushing forward, refusing to stop. By 2014, she dropped what many still call one of the coldest guest verses of the decade. Her verse on Run the Jewels' Love Again. It was confident, sharp, and fearless. Killer Mike himself crowned her the Queen of Memphis. That moment reignited her career all over again. Soon, Boo was hitting big festivals. She even performed at Coachella, standing in front of crowds so young they weren't even alive when Mystic Styles dropped. Yet they knew every lyric, a true sign that her legacy had outlived time. Her music life was thriving again, but behind the fame, her personal world was quietly falling apart. In May 2022, Gangsta Boo appeared on Marriage Boot Camp Hip Hop Edition alongside her longtime partner Emmett Flores. Reality TV is usually full of stage drama, but what Boo shared on that show was raw and heartbreakingly real. During a therapy session with Dr. Ish, she opened up about years of pain. She revealed she had lost around 20 people in just 7 years. Her father, Cedric, passed away in 2017, and it completely broke her spirit. Not long after, she lost her brother, her grandparents, and several close friends and associates, one loss after another. Boo admitted she had been using quick escapes to numb her pain instead of facing it. She said she needed to finally open up, to talk through her trauma instead of hiding it under the surface. There was one moment on the show that, looking back, back felt eerie. Production reportedly found a white powdery substance in her room. Boo and Emmett both denied what it was, but the incident still raised concern. Felt like a warning that old struggles might be creeping back into her life. Still, 2022 looked like it could be her year of redemption. She was getting booked, respected, and celebrated again. In December 2021, she even stood front and center during the Versus battle between 3-6 Mafia and Bone Thugs and Harmony, a huge cultural moment when Busy Bone threw a bottle on stage and chaos broke out. Gangsta Boo didn't back down. She stepped up, shouting right back at him, holding her ground like the Memphis queen she'd always been.
Gangsta Boo, suck my
The crowd went wild, and that moment reminded everyone Gangsta Boo never lost her fire. After that fiery Versus moment, Gangsta Boo kept her momentum rolling. She linked up with Lotto and Glorilla for the hit FTCU, a powerful collaboration that felt like her passing the torch to the next generation of Southern women in rap. It was symbolic, Queen giving her crown to the rising stars she inspired. Behind the scenes, Boo was also working on what she called her masterpiece, an album titled The Blueprint. She told friends and fans it would be her best work yet, something that defined who she truly was. On New Year's Eve 2022, she posted a joyful video on Instagram celebrating her journey, smiling wide, full of life and hyped for what was coming next. She looked focused, happy, and ready to take over 2023. But heartbreakingly, she had no idea that she had less than 24 hours left. On December 31st, 2022, Memphis was alive with celebration. Gangsta Boo, now 43, was out having fun with her brother, Eric, aka Ida Mitchell. They attended a show and after party hosted by Memphis legends 8 Ball and MJ at Rail Garden, a night that was supposed to be pure celebration. But before midnight, everything changed. According to reports, while at the event, Eric suddenly collapsed. He had suffered an overdose. The scene turned chaotic as people rushed to help. Paramedics arrived quickly, and Eric was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Miraculously, doctors were able to bring him back, a moment that should have been a clear warning that something was dangerously wrong. Whatever they had taken that night wasn't safe.
After Eric was stabilized, Boo went home to her mother's house on Rains Road in Whitehaven, the same neighborhood she grew up in. She was reportedly alone. Sources later revealed that she still had some of the same batch of substances that had nearly taken her brother's life. When the sun rose on January 1st, 2023, the new year began, but tragedy was about to strike. At 2:18 p.m., Memphis police received a call about a person unresponsive at the Rains Road address. When officers arrived, they found Gangsta Boo on the porch, unconscious. Paramedics confirmed what no one wanted to believe: she was gone.
We begin with breaking news at 10. Beloved Memphis rapper Gangsta Boo of 3-6 Mafia has died. She was found dead at a house in Whitehaven earlier this evening.
The news hit the music world like an earthquake. Fans couldn't process it. Memphis went silent in shock. For months, the internet buzzed with rumors. Some said heart complications. Others whispered speculation. Nobody knew the truth, and the mystery only fueled more heartbreak. Finally, on June 15, 2023, the Shelby County Medical Examiner's Office released the official autopsy report. It confirmed what many had feared. Her passing had been accidental, linked to a deadly mix of substances that had been circulating in the city. Her story, from teenage prodigy to legendary pioneer, had ended far too soon. But in every club that still plays Where Them Dollars At, and every new female rapper spitting fearlessly, Gangsta Boo's voice still echoes. Her legacy lives forever in the sound she helped create, the soul of Memphis rap. The official report confirmed what fans had feared. Gangsta Boo's passing was ruled accidental. The findings revealed a dangerous mix of substances and alcohol in her system. It was heartbreaking. One wrong combination, and the world lost a legend. But even after her passing, the pain didn't fade. It exploded. Grief turned public, and soon the focus shifted toward her brother, Eric Ida Mitchell. What began as mourning quickly spiraled into tension online. DJ Paul went on social media claiming that investigators had information about who provided the substances, hinting that Eric
Eric might have known more. Then Crunchy Black added more fuel by posting a screenshot aimed at Eric with the caption, "We on your app," and harsh comments that went way too far. The entire situation turned messy, dragging a private tragedy into the public eye. Inside the 3-6 Mafia circle, the talk was intense. Many believed Eric had experienced the same reaction earlier that night and survived, and that he should have done something to protect his sister afterward. Some said he should have thrown the batch away or warned her directly. To them, his silence felt impossible to forgive. But Eric Gutta Mitchell, already frail and battling cancer, finally spoke out. On camera, his voice trembling, he defended himself, saying he didn't harm his sister, that it wasn't about blame, but about two siblings caught in the same difficult struggle. His words showed the truth behind many family battles. Sometimes there are no villains, only people trying to survive hardship. As of 2024, no criminal charges have ever been filed against him in connection with her death. Still, the emotional damage was permanent. The once tight family that had moved together back in 1991 was shattered beyond repair. Gangsta Boo's passing shook hip-hop to its core. She wasn't just another name, she was a pioneer who broke barriers for Southern women in rap, a fearless voice that mixed power, honesty, and heart like no one else. The loss hit just as the world was finally ready to fully honor her legacy. Even in her absence, her influence lives on in every bold female MC, every Memphis beat, and every voice that dares to stand strong.